Welcome to Comadres y Comics. Comadres y Comics is a podcast hosted by 3 Latina women.
We highlight the Latinx presence in the comic book industry as creators, characters, and fans.
Join us as we talk chisme, comics, fandom, and beer. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Comadres y Comics. This is episode 246, where your host, I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Well, we're so excited. We're on a roll. We're recording every week. We're doing pretty good, guys. Thank you for sticking around with us. Well, we'll go right into it. Chisme de la semana, guys. Oh my God. I just heard this yesterday and I had to message myself so I wouldn't forget. But I just heard that it's been approved as of April 2025 that they're going to start writing and Ice Cube is going to be starring in Last Friday. So I'm very excited. If you guys do not know, which I doubt you guys don't know, but Freaking Friday was one of the best films in the 90s. Totally loved it. It was just super great. The scene in where they were in the liquor store, where the guy was trying to fall on a dry floor, and it's like, I hurt my back. Give me $20 and I won't see you. That was actually filmed in Gardena, and it was a liquor store around the corner from where I live. On
really?
And 138. Yeah. Yes, I was like, whoa! I recognize Steve's Market. I used to go there all the time for 5 cents now laters. Do they still sell now laters?
Yes.
Yeah, they're still in production.
Oh wow!
I mean, the movie is full of iconic, pop culture quotes. So damn, Craig, how you getting fired on your day off? Or damn! And
damn is the most iconic one.
Yeah, you got knocked the fuck out. And the most iconic, bye, Felicia.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you know that actress, they almost didn't hire her because she was too beautiful to pay Felicia?
Really?
Yeah, they had to put her in men's clothes.
Oh,
and
wow.
even then they had a lot of trouble because her beauty was just coming through.
She was too pretty.
She was too pretty. But no, it was just pretty awesome. I also heard that there was some like drive-by shootings, but not on the set, but like around the area. So I was like, so it's pretty iconic that they filmed in Compton and everything, and it's just such a staple in the culture, so to speak, and it's just such an iconic movie. But yes, I'm so excited. It's going to be called Last Friday. Ice Cube will be writing it. I don't know if he's co-writing it with anyone else, but he will be starring it. And I honestly hope that Chris Tucker.
I was just gonna say because all of the other movies did not have him in it, and I have to say, I know people will fight me for this, but like it was such a letdown, and it just didn't hit the same for me. So I do hope that he comes back for that.
Yeah, me too. Like, I think there was an argument where he's like, oh, I don't do sequels. But then somebody was like, that's a damn lie. You did a bunch of like Rush Hour movies.
Because he has a long-standing friendship with Jackie Chan.
But yeah, no, I mean, Chris Tucker to me was like a really good actor. I don't know why he dropped off. I don't know what the career direction was for him, but it would be so iconic. Oh my God, I sound like a Kardashian. Iconic. But if he returns to the Friday franchise, I would love to see that. I think everybody would love to see that. It's going to be released by New Line Cinema, which is owned by the WB. So like, I'm super excited. That is my chisme. I don't know if you guys know about it, but I'm like super freaking excited for this. But I know that Kristen has some more chisme that I feel is going to be really spicy.
I do. And so my chisme is circling back to the Diamond debacle that has been going on in the comic book industry. So if you remember a few episodes back, we talked about how Diamond for the last couple of years has really been suffering. Diamond used to have the monopoly of comic book distribution. And then when COVID happened, Lunar and Penguin Random House came in and started offering distribution, and some of the bigger publishing companies left Diamond as distribution and just used them as wholesale. So Marvel left and went to Penguin, and DC left and went to Lunar. And when that happened, it was just the beginning of the end for Diamond. And that end came to an end. I want to say in February, January, I don't remember, but they officially came out, excuse me, and filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Wow. And then what happened was there was an auction, and who was it that won? Oh, Alliance Entertainment won the auction, and Diamond came out and was like, oh, no, sorry, you may have put in the highest bid, but we want to go with this second bidder instead because we like what they have to offer better. And Alliance was like, the fuck you are?
Like, they can't do that. You can't go with one.
That's why it's an auction, you...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there was a big back and forth, and finally, Alliance, a judge came out and was like, that exactly what Sarah said. That is why it was an auction. You have to go with the highest bidder. Mm-hmm. So that's where everything was left. We thought it was all fine and good. And come to find out, a couple of days ago, Alliance came out to say, you know what? Just kidding. Turns out we don't want to buy Diamond after all. And in fact, we are going to sue you because not only did you try to say that we weren't the highest bidder, but you flat out withheld information from us. So this said information was that WotC had terminated their contract with Diamond. Now, if those of you who are not TCG players, WotC stands for Wizards of the Coast. So WOTC, people just refer to it as WotC. Wizards of the Coast is the makers of Magic the Gathering, which is arguably one of the biggest TCG other than Pokemon, who Hasbro also owns both of those. It was like a 7 million or billion, I don't even know, but at this point, who cares, dollar discrepancy of how much this company was going to be worth. And they on purpose withheld it. And when Alliance found out, they were like, nope, this is straight up fraud. You didn't tell us this. And if we would have known this, we would not even have been interested. What? And so it
would make sense they
pulled out and are suing. So what that means is the trustee who has the Diamond case basically was like, you know what? At this point in time, like, we're going to hell in a handbasket already. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. And we filed for Chapter 11, and with Chapter 11 basically is, for those of you that don't know, you are basically saying you are filing for bankruptcy, but you have enough wherewithal, money, support, whatever, to restructure and continue running business. The trustee was like, nope, can't even say that we can do that anymore. We're going to change it to Chapter 7. In addition, Diamond, you MFers haven't filed any of the paperwork that you are supposed to be filing this whole entire time. So you know what? Forget you.
No
F
way.
you and the horse you rode in on. We are going with Chapter 7. So Diamond sent out a letter to all retailers this week, and it was like, we're sure that you've heard the rumblings in the industry that this happened and blah, blah, blah. But just keep in mind that we are working our best to get all those filings in, and we are pretty confident that once all the paperwork gets filed, that the trustee will renege, will take back his suggestion for Chapter 7, and everything will be fine. I'm like, what drugs are these people taking? Like, and also, what do you even think you have to sell anymore without WotC? You lost Marvel, you lost Lunar, you lost Image, you lost Boom, you lost all of the major publishing companies. The only two that you have, Distillery and Dynamite. There's only two.
I don't.
Who the heck cares about Dynamite besides whatever wackadoos are buying all of those crazy covers?
Yeah. So they're gonna be worth $1 million.
That's where we are right now, and that is some crazy chisme. And the rumblings on the retailer side is that this could actually really negatively affect a lot of gaming shops and a lot of comic book stores that we're relying on Alliance TCG, not Alliance Entertainment. It's two separate. But relying on Alliance as sole distributors for their Magic the Gathering, because apparently, news to me, because obviously I'm not in the game right now, a lot of the other distributors, like we used to have GTS, but there's other ones out there too, aren't taking new clients right now. They're not taking new accounts. And so if you solely, like when we had our accounts, we had both Alliance and GTS. So like if we were allotted on one of our orders for one, we would turn to the other and try to make up for that. But some people are still solely using Alliance, which used to be its own distribution, but Diamond bought them a few years ago. So Diamond was in effect running the Alliance TCG distribution. If a shop is solely reliant on Alliance through Diamond, and this and now we're finding out that WotC has taken their contract and is going somewhere else, and these stores can't get an account with anyone else, they are SOL for getting Magic the Gathering in the near future. And that really could devastate a shop.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
That's tremendous.
It's horrible. And it's just the hits keep coming when it comes to Diamond. And so this is all to say, we circled back to Diamond. I'm going to circle back to the things I always tell you listeners. Please make some time to go and support your local comic shops and your local gaming shops, because we out here fighting for our lives right now, to be honest. And all of your local shops are all experiencing this turmoil, and the unknown of the tariffs is still hanging over all of our heads. And so it's really, really a time where all the support that you can give to your local shops is absolutely needed. And what's today? Today's Thursday. This won't get out in time for a free comic book day, but I'm hoping that as you're listening to this, you will have gone to free comic book day and you will have supported. And even if not, go right now, as soon as you listen to this show as you're going to your local shop, because they really, really do need you.
Oh my. Yeah.
Support local businesses.
Absolutely. Oh my God. How devastating. Ladies and gentlemen, on my radar. What is on your radar, Kristen?
Okay, so on my radar is a book that is out next week. So obviously I haven't read it yet, but it is a new James Tynion book. And let me just say that I used to pronounce his name Tynion, James Tynion, until he was one of the special guests at Comics Pro this last Comics Pro in February, and he himself pronounced his name Tynion. So I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, which makes sense because his website is tinyonion.com. And so Tynion makes more sense for tiny onion. Anyway, He is writing a new 4-issue series, number 1 of which is coming out next week. No, not next week. I'm lying to you. Number 2 is coming out next week. Number 1 came out in February. But it is called Let This One Be a Devil. And as you know, I'm a huge horror genre fan in comics and movies. And this one is about, which I didn't even know. I learned something new today. It's about the lore of the cryptid Jersey Devil. Have you guys ever heard of Jersey Devil?
No.
I have.
Have you?
No.
If you've been like, I loved watching, and then, my best friend also loved watching, like, we liked watching like cryptid shows together. We would watch BuzzFeed Unsolved all the time, so like they would cover them, and then like we just like read like creepypastas about like cryptids and stuff like that, and would like, and like people would go, so we just like, you know, like it's like adjacent to, it pretty much is like what conspiracy theories.
Right.
So the Jersey Devil or like whatever is one of those.
So this,
I don't know. Tell me.
I am.
She's gonna tell you.
This book is set in the early 1900s, and the main character, Henry Naughton, returns home to the family farm in the swampy pine barrens of southern New Jersey. One night he encounters a strange predator stalking the woods, and this sends the young scholar on a research project that uncovers the legend of Mother Leeds and the terrible birth of the Jersey Devil in 1735. So people be making up shit since way back in the day.
Way back.
And so this is part of James Tynion's new series of true weird tales. So he's taking like folklore or like what do you call it?
Urban myths,
urban legends and stuff like that, and making comics out of them. And so this one is all about the Jersey Devil. And so I was like, I never heard of Jersey Devil. What the heck is that? And so basically it is like a legendary creature that's said to inhabit the forest of the Pine Barrens in South Jersey, and it's often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there's very many variations. It's like a kangaroo-like creature with a horse or goat-like head and leathery bat-like wings, horns, and small arms. And the legend originated from this popular story from way back in the day, where there was this person called Mother Leeds, and who is sometimes referred to as the Devil's Mother. The Devil's Mother sometimes is referred to Mother Leeds. And she had, according to this story, she was giving birth to her 13th child. 13.
Okay,
Where have you seen that number before? And in the middle of the birth, she exclaims, "Let the child be the devil."
Oh my Lord.
And through that, the child immediately is born and immediately grows wings, a tail, and claws, and just flies out into the Pine Barrens to just, I guess,
haunt the night.
Haunt the night, exactly. So honestly, it's so funny but kind of weird to me. Like when I hear of cryptid stories, it's always in some other, like it's in South America, or it's in the forests of some far off place I've never heard of or will ever go to. But freaking New Jersey.
I know. I was like, oh my God, yeah.
It's so crazy when you think about like the original 13 colonies, and you're like, you know what? People were living like there. I mean, there was of course other people living, like the Native Americans and stuff like that, but there's just something so incongruous about like thinking about like white people living in the colonies and stuff like that.
Right. So like I said, number 2 comes out next week, so number 1 should still be available at your local shop or available to order, or you can go to James Tynion's website, tinyonion.com, and find issues there. But I'm actually looking forward to more of the books and more of the subjects of his True Weird Story series. So this One Be the Devil is on my radar.
Oh, that was
Very cool.
very, very, very cool. I got a little
Remind
bit
me,
like,
what was the first issue about?
No, this is the first series in that series. It's a 4-issue series. So number 1 came out in February, but it was just the first issue of the Jersey Devil story.
Oh, okay.
And now it's time for that very, very, very favorite segment of mine that I just love. It's La Hora de la Cervecita.
Boom.
Woo! What are we drinking today, ladies?
Wow, we are drinking another We Love LA brew, and this one comes to us from Smog City, which is a brewery. Where is Smog City? Here in Torrance?
Yes, in Torrance.
They're located here in Torrance, and if you remember from the last time we did a We Love LA beer, this is a collaboration with a what was it, the Red Cross? Was it the Red Cross that it was collaborating with? I don't remember, but it was a collaboration that a lot of breweries participated in, where the proceeds from the sales of the We Love LA beers are going to help rebuild the communities that were devastated by the fires in Altadena and the Palisades in January. So the back of the can says, "We stand with you, LA. Smog City Brewing remains committed to giving back to our community. As the heartbreaking fires continue to impact LA, we are proud to join over 175 breweries worldwide in the We Love LA collaboration, supporting long-term fire recovery through the United Way." And you know, long-term recovery is very, very a very apt description, because there are people who are just finding out that their homes, even though they didn't burn down, are not going to be re-inhabitable until 2 years from now.
My God.
Just because of the toxicity levels that are still remaining there from just all of the carcinogens and stuff that are in the air. And once they come in to like bulldoze or raise the lands to even start to rebuild, all that stuff is going to go right back into the atmosphere. And so it's really like the fires ended after what seemed like months, which it was really a couple of weeks, honestly, is a lot when you think about fires. And almost the entire cities of both Altadena and the Palisades were completely just leveled by the fire.
They were devastated.
Yeah. And so 175 breweries. This is the second one we've tried. We got a long way to go.
We do. I am determined.
If we can get our hands on some of them.
Oh yeah, I am absolutely determined to try to get as many as possible, because that's the way I'm going to support this effort, is to drink as much of this beer as possible.
Well, I found one the other day when I went to have lunch at Firestone. So we have that one coming up as well. So we need to be on a mission, and we have so many local breweries that probably are participants, and so we just need to find out which ones did and go pick them up. And I bet you we can find out information on this handy dandy QR code that we shared last time. You can go to the We Love LA website, and I think Sarah shared that there was merch on there as well that you could buy, and probably information on all of the breweries that are participating. So you can also follow them on socials at We Love LA Beer.
Yeah, and also wanted to let you guys know out there that are not in California, there are a lot of breweries across the country that are participating in We Love LA as well. So keep an eye out there. Let us know. Snap a picture, tag us. We'd love to hear that you guys are also supporting this effort. It would be so freaking cool if we saw some of you guys out there finding these beers out in
tag us.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Anyway, I got all engrossed into just thinking about like the fire and how and how it continues to devastate a lot of people and cannot return to their homes and stuff like that. So that just put me in kind of a zone where I'm just like, okay, I forgot it's the beer segment. So I had to actually drink the beer. But poured it out. Check it out.
Last time we had a hoppy Pilsner, and this...
It was surprisingly good.
Yeah, surprisingly good. And this week, we are going back to our roots with a West Coast IPA. So
your roots?
No surprise here. Sarah is already making yummy faces because she is our IPA aficionado here. And so I look forward to trying it. It's a 7.2 ABV.
I gotta brace myself.
I know it smells actually pretty good. It is hoppy. It smells hoppy, but it smells very good.
I want to draw a little bit of attention to the scan code. It looks like a city.
Oh yeah,
isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
Oh yeah. I wonder if it's supposed to be like downtown LA.
I think so.
It kind of looks like the U.S. Bank Tower.
Mm-hmm. Little fact about Smog Brewery, Smog City Brewing Company. One of the very first craft beers that I loved was the Nothing from Smog City. So if you ever get your hands on it, they usually have it seasonally during the winter. So check that out. It's really good. But this one, totally, I can taste the Smog City brew method, their style, definitely.
So this is a very good introduction to IPAs for people who don't like IPAs, I think. It's very fruity. Very, very fruity.
Yes. Yes.
I taste like orange and pineapple.
Yes.
And
I was just gonna say it tasted like very like almost like kind of peachy.
Yes.
To me. Like more heavy on like stone fruits than anything.
Yes.
I am really loving this.
And it's super
very
like
good
crisp too. There's a kind of a crisp,
and it's not heavy on my tongue.
No.
And hopefully not in my belly, but not on my tongue and all the way an IPA usually is, even West Coast IPAs. And so I think that this is a good IPA for people who don't necessarily who would liken themselves to IPA haters.
I mean, it's gotten my approval already.
Yeah.
I think my initial face taking a sip, I was not expecting it to be that fruity and that flavorful. I was expecting to be like, slapped in the face with hops as usual.
Oh yes.
But this one, the hops are much more subtle, more like a tiny little smoky note at the end.
Yes.
100% love that. Because sometimes the bitterness does have a use, and it's used to highlight those fruity flavors, and I think right now that's what it's doing perfectly. So I am really enjoying this. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really loving the crispness, and there's a little tiny hint in the back of kind of that a bit of the bitterness, but I like it. I mean, I'm a IPA drinker, but no, I'm really, really loving. I'm really enjoying this, guys. It's really good. I think, like I said before in the last tasting, that it feels like the whole staff and the whole crew is like brewing this with a lot of love and a lot of beautiful intention, and it comes across in the taste. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but I do feel like this sense of like a passion project, like something that everybody's just really like feeling just so like passionate about.
Something that was made with care.
Yes.
Honestly, having 175 of any industry come together like this to do this project and to get it out there and to raise money is a huge feat in and of itself. So the fact that the brewing industry came together to do that is amazing. And I agree with you that there is a lot of heart and care and passion put into this project. And so I'm not as familiar with Smog City, even though it's literally around the corner from my house, as I am with some of the other breweries here in Torrance. But this one I would show up in person to drink for sure.
Oh,
so
absolutely. Yeah, no, Smog City holds a little place in my heart. It was like one of my first breweries that I went to. I think, one of their anniversaries where they actually had a beer cocktail that they set on fire. And I ran out of battery,
wow.
so I couldn't record a video. I kick myself every time I remember that.
Aw.
But I met the owners. They're super nice and just really like welcoming and everything. So, but anyway, I can't say enough about this. You guys covered the fruitiness and the back bitterness and the freshness and just the heart that comes across this particular brew. So, are we ready to? What is our rating scale, Kristen?
So we have a 5-point rating scale where 1 out of 5 is very unsatisfied. A 2 out of 5 is just regularly unsatisfied. A 3 out of 5 is right in the middle, neutral. A 4 out of 5 is satisfied, and a 5 out of 5 is very satisfied. So I'll go ahead and get started. And if it's off the charts, then we give it a Super Saiyan. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5. I think I gave the other one a 5 out of 5 too. It's right at the end. It's not enough to push me over to Super Saiyan, but it's very, very good. I would seek this out. Like, there's some beers I'm like, it's good. If someone gave it to me for free at a barbecue, I'll drink it. Yeah. But I'm not gonna go looking for it. I would seek this out, actually. So for me, it's a 5 out of 5.
This is Sarah, and I'm also going to give it a 5 out of 5. I actually, I had this before, but I forgot. Like sometimes you forget, you drink other beers, whatever. And then drinking it again, I'm like, you know what? I got to go get me another 4-pack of this. Like, literally, that's what I thought. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I can't wait till I drink a We Love LA Super Saiyan. I mean, I missed out on Monkish's release. I'm hoping that it comes back because it sold out right away. So, but they're always one of my favorites. So 5 out of 5 for me. What about you, Jen?
I'm also gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because I cannot stop drinking this. It's really, really good. I am really enjoying the taste, especially for an IPA. I know, like West Coast IPA, but I really like it.
Yeah. So I'm actually thinking tomorrow's Friday. I might go get a 4-pack because this is so good, and I actually want to share it with Frank. So very excited about that. And that has
you
been
want to, but will it?
Will it make it?
Will it make it?
Will
till
it
he comes
last?
back? Yeah. Will it be in the refrigerator when he comes home? I don't know. We're gonna give it a try, but yes, definitely picking some up this Friday. That has been our beer review, guys. It is time for our book review, and I'm really excited about reviewing this book. We've had it for a little bit, and I'm so excited because I love this character, and I met the creator, the author, the writer. Mine is backwards because I didn't switch to mirror or undid mirror. But anyway, is La Borinqueña, Puerto Rico. Se levanta. Pa'lante. Yes, I met him. And you know what is the most amazing thing? I don't remember where I met him. I think I met him at Latino in Philadelphia. He was there, and it was like really cool. And but I feel like I met him somewhere because when I saw him, I feel like he said, "Comadre." You know what it is? I think we reviewed another book, and he recognized us from, I guess, our social media, and he was like, "Comadre," and
we reviewed Reconstruction.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And we've reviewed the first Borinqueña.
Yes, but I don't think when I met him in person, I think was at Latino, but he immediately said, "Comadre," like I didn't even really have to introduce myself.
Wasn't he at the
San Diego Comic Con?
No. Wasn't he at that little show that we did in South Central that was the nonprofit?
For Kale?
For Kale, yeah. Wasn't he at...
I
Wasn't
don't
he at
remember
Kale?
meeting him at
Long,
Kale.
long, because I remember meeting him in person, and he approached
Yeah, we've met
you very like lovingly, like you guys were best friends, and because you had met him before. And I really feel like it was a small show like that. And in my mind, it's Kale. It could not have been Kale, but it was a smaller show. And
I would have like I thought it was like at Mola.
No, I didn't
No.
see him at Mola.
I don't remember him at Mola either.
But I do remember going to San Diego Comic-Con one of the years where they were like honoring him with an award. He had a table up in the sales, the pavilion. And I think I went there specifically looking for him. And then I walked up to him. He's like, Comadre. So like, he's really endeared in my heart because he like always me saluda así, comadre.
Yeah. I because when I met him that one time, you and he were like, you had known each other for years, and he came and hugged you and everything. And this was before I knew that he was the voice of Jane the Virgin.
No, that's
Wasn't that
actually
him?
no. This is
different guy.
Different guy.
Okay,
yeah, different guy. Totally different guy.
Who was that guy?
He did a book about a kid with the red sweater.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Not you confusing brown men.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, we cannot have that. But also, he was the one we had a long talk about. He's like, you gotta go to Puerto Rico Con. You're gonna love it.
Oh.
And that's how I ended up in Puerto Rico.
With no con.
It was during the COVID years, and so like I got time off. I got my Airbnb. I got my flight. I was just ready to go. My husband had given me some cash. He said, "Have a good time," and I had my tickets to the con. And then they moved it like a month later or something like that. But I was already like, I wouldn't say stuck because I enjoyed the fuck out of Puerto Rico. Let me tell you. Anyway. Reading this comic book and like Rio Piedras and everything like that, I just like, I'm like, I was there. Like, so when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, I was there. Like, it's so cool. Anyway, guys.
That's actually kind of cool to
it is really cool. Yeah. So what if you guys could read the synopsis of this book?
Sure, I'll do it. Real-life activist Rosario Dawson teams up with La Borinqueña and the Tynions to thwart a nefarious plot to stop the transition to clean renewable energy in Puerto Rico. Working together, can they ensure that their powerful message reaches everyone across the Caribbean archipelago and the rest of the world in time to save our planet? Written and created by Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez.
So you may be thinking, how the heck did they get Rosario Dawson to be involved in this project? Because quite honestly, I thought that it was silly.
I thought it was great.
No, I thought that it was silly. I'm like, Rosario Dawson, blah, blah, blah. But when I read it, it definitely worked because she's playing herself and she's playing herself as an activist. She is Puerto Rican,
an activist,
Puerto Rican, and also Cuban, which I didn't know. I did not know and so I actually thought that it really worked. But the cover artist is Gustavo Vasquez, and that's her uncle.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh my gosh.
I believe, I'm just speculating, that's probably how she became involved.
Well, not only that, I think this comic book was on her radar, like, fandom does, And then I think she was just so drawn to the character as a Puerto Rican, but also she cosplayed La Borinqueña in a costume. So I was like, Rosario Dawson is
and I thought it was so funny how everyone in the story are like, I love you in this movie, and I love you in this movie, or I love you here. Like it really did work. Like, I did think that it was silly when I looked at it. I'm like, Rosario Dawson. But the story worked, and it really utilized her in it. And the fact that she is very active in rebuilding of her homeland and after Hurricane Maria and all that stuff. And I learned so much in Reconstruction. I remember learning so much about Puerto Rico, and I learned even more reading this book. And so I really, really enjoyed it. And it's an anthology, so it's not the whole book is not one whole story. There's like 4 or 5 stories in here. Oh,
Yes,
yeah, one,
yes.
2, 3,
Where they
4,
actually
5,
introduce
6,
a lot
7.
of the Nitainos.
There's 7 stories in here.
Yeah, and I like some of the little stories inside where they introduce us to the characters, the Nitainos, which, and then there's a little like kind of like a little information bubble that if you go back to La Borinqueña number 3, it explains like where they came from.
Yeah.
Which now I want to go back and read because
I
want to know more.
because that was a long time ago that we read that book.
Yeah.
Very long time ago.
Yeah. TBH, it's been a minute.
So I was actually telling Sarah before we started recording that I've never heard that word Nitaino before. And I think I remember learning Taino in the original Reconstruction. So basically, somebody from Puerto Rico. How come I can't say that word? Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
And so I did a Google search and I went into this long ass rabbit hole of language and colonization and where these words came from. And basically these words were just assumptions that the Spaniards thought that the words that the natives were saying, assumptions of what they thought they meant. And so I found it so fascinating because at this point in time, we don't know what it meant because the Spaniards came and took it over and changed it how they wanted to. And that's all we know now. But it was like Taino was it like God or not God, like the king. And also, interestingly enough, the Tainos were both men and women before the Spaniards came, and so those they were the nobility, the king, queen, whatever. But because the Spaniards came from a patriarchal society and history, they came in and wiped out any idea of the queen taking on that role. And so the Nitainos were right under that, and they were the noble men below the king and queen. But that was just the Spaniards' interpretation of what the natives in Puerto Rico were saying when they came and invaded their land, basically. And so we see here in this book, Nitainos is this group of basically superheroes that was developed with La Borinqueña being the leader when these like scientists are doing, and I missed this part. I don't think we read this part in the original story, where they're doing.
I think we only had issue number 1.
Yeah, they were doing experiments, and so multiple.
But there was I'm so sorry to cut you off, but then we read Puerto Rico Strong, which was an anthology where we learned about the experiments they were doing.
Reconstruction, you mean?
No, the Reconstruction was different, but then there was the other
Puerto Rico Strong.
Puerto Rico Strong that had La
Rico Strong.
Borinqueña in it. So there was 2 books.
And then they talked about how like the United States was what is it called? Sterilizing women.
That was in Reconstruction.
No, that was in Puerto Rico Strong.
I think it was in both.
Well, in any case, there was a lot of horrible things done to Puerto Rico and their people.
Right. So, this group of native people there in Puerto Rico gained powers from these experiments, and so they all are wanting to use it for good and to use it for the betterment of their land, of their island. And La Borinqueña is like the leader of the Nitainos, and so I thought that was really cool, and all of them are such cool characters and very unique in and of themselves. There's an an Asian girl. Was it a girl?
Yes.
Lulu.
Lala.
Lala. There you go.
Yeah.
And I think that even just that, there being an Asian woman who speaks Spanish and lives there on the island really I think dispels a lot of myth and a lot of preconceived notions of who it can be or is Puerto Rican. And I just really loved all of the uniqueness and diversity of the group. And I really just enjoyed each story takes the individual characters and kind of like susses out their story, tells you who they are, a little bit about what their power is and what their like focus of what they want to focus on in bettering Puerto Rico. And I really, really enjoyed the book a lot. Like, it's been so long ago, I didn't even remember anything about La Borinqueña before I read this. I'm like, I know I read it, but I don't remember anything about it because it was so long ago. I do remember that we liked it. And this here is such a it's such a sadness to me. This book came out in 2023, so I still had the shop, and I remember I ordered some, but the fact that not more people are familiar with this character or read these stories is really sad to me. And I really hope that even though this book did come out so long ago, that our review will bring it back onto the radar of our listeners, and they can go back and familiarize themselves with the character, because she's really great.
Yeah, and especially if these books are still available to order, because they actually help support a really great cause.
Oh my God, yes.
And right here in like when it says your purchase supports our La Borinqueña grants program. So in 2017, as a response to Hurricane Maria, award-winning graphic novelist and creator of La Borinqueña, Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez, published the best-selling benefit anthology Reconstruction, Reminiscing and Rebuilding Puerto Rico. Sales from this benefit anthology went towards grants that were awarded to nonprofit organizations based in Puerto Rico.
That is so freaking amazing. I'm in awe of all the work they're doing behind the scenes, not only like just as activists, but also like releasing this book and educating the people and educating the young people out there. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but all the Tynions are actually college students. So I think that also inspires people to like maybe pursue like higher education. And I thought that was amazing.
Honestly, I think that just was it the last story where they talk about the
the last story.
They talk about the history of the flag? Was that the last
Yes.
one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I find it so wonderful that story exists, because you don't know how many people, even in my own little circle of hometown friends, probably still don't even realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States and that they are U.S. citizens. I think that it is so disheartening that so many people back when Trump was in his first presidency didn't realize that he himself didn't even freaking, I think, realize that that they were U.S. citizens. And so that particular story was so full of history and just did a really good job of going over the establishment of the flag, how it was freaking again, it was a crime to fly the flag. You would get arrested flying that flag.
Right.
And I'm like, it's almost like we are reliving history.
Yes. I think it's so timely that we're reviewing this book in the times we're living right now. It's just a parallel that it almost, you know what, like, I know Marisol is La Borinqueña, and she's going through this kind of time warp where she's like going through the history of the flag, but she's doing it in such a loving way. that I thought was really, really amazing, because halfway through it, I was just like, I'm going to throw some stones. I just want to I'm just so angry. I'm so angry. I can't believe she
it
was
made
just
me so angry too.
Yes, I was super angry. Especially like you couldn't even fly it. And now like, okay, there was a comic that I was like watching on the reels, and he was like, oh yeah, you know how I can tell Puerto Ricans, the ones that are American Puerto Ricans are the ones that have their flag everywhere in their car, they have a sticker, but you know what, I was like, and at the moment I didn't put it together, but now reading this, I'm like, fuck yeah, if I could, I'm gonna put a sticker on my car, I'm gonna put it on my rear view mirror,
Yeah.
like, you know, like just as defiance. Like there was a time where you couldn't display the flag.
Yeah.
Like, wow, just mind blowing. I learned so much.
And at the end of the day, that island was just figuratively tossed around between Spain and America and whoever else, the British, whoever else wanted to come in and try to put their rule over them. And they just were kind of like in limbo for a really long time, and even now, honestly, are still not seen as full-fledged citizens. And what that they wasn't it for a while they couldn't even vote. They
still can't vote.
So it's just so it's so important for this kind of book to exist and to tell an amazing story, but also educate people, because it's very important. And you know, I think that an island full of brown people is easily looked over in this day and age and in this administration. I'm really happy that, even though, like you said, Sarah, this book came out so long ago, that we are reviewing it again, right? Or not again, but we're reviewing it and returning to La Borinqueña again now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first half of the story with Rosario Dawson, La Borinqueña and the other Nitainos are working on restoring electricity around the island. They're trying to do it in a way that they are using solar panels so that they can be free of like any electrical company or whatever, you know, just
and on fossil fuels.
Exactly. Trying to be more conscious and trying to set an example to the world that it can be done. Especially after a hurricane, like you're trying to rebuild in such a way that it's self-sustaining and also like good for the environment. And there's this corrupt guy that's trying to get elected that has this weapon that actually deactivates the panels, so it looks like they're not working. And you get to go through this whole little story about that and how she kind of depends on the help of the Nitainos, but also the help of the people and the help of Rosario Dawson, and unmask this corrupt political guy. That part of the story reminds me of the thing that's closest to me that reminds me of that is Nicaragua. Nicaragua goes through a lot of blackouts, and sometimes they don't have running water because the electric company is owned by is Spanish, so they're from Spain.
Oh.
Why do they control Nicaraguan electricity?
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but people suffer for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so hot there. You depend on fans to kind of keep cool or whatever. So that was kind of a trigger for me when I was reading. I was like, oh my God, this is happening to a lot of small countries of brown people, you know, sucks. And then also what triggered me was when they were talking about when they discovered the black ash that they were keeping there. And they said that once it goes into the atmosphere, it could have really bad effects on people's health and affect kids that are like when you're reproducing, like side effects in births, whatever. And that triggered me because we were just talking about we were just talking about how people will not be able to inhabit their home for 2 years in LA because of the fires. That was just such a such a close, just wow. Like there's these things we don't think about, but people are affected by these things, and it's just like, why can't we do better? And I think this book highlights some of that, but in a very kind way, because again, Marisol and the Naitainos are just so really nice and just really loving, and they have all this love, and maybe that's why they were picked to be superheroes, because I'm full of anger. Like, what about you guys?
Yes, I would choose violence.
Yes, honestly, yes. Honestly, yes.
Honestly, yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is why I kind of really appreciated the back matter and how it gave like more real world solutions, more like this is how Puerto Rico is advocating for renewable energy as well, especially for a place like Puerto Rico that I think could make more use of like solar panels and like renewable energy like that, and how it is important. It is the future. So like I just like I appreciated it a lot out of this book. My only complaint, and this is more of a personal preference for me, is that I'm just like really tired of the superhero genre. But this was a fun read. This brought a little bit of life to it because um uh, it was so culturally based and so informative that I did not feel bored reading it. That it wasn't just all like, oh wow, or like Puerto Rican Superman. No, this is something more. This is more important. This is more pointed as well. So I really enjoyed reading it.
I liked that all of the Nitainos were specific. Their power or their persona was specific to something there that was Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Like the little tiny frog guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
He was so cute.
Yes. And I like how he also had kind of like the imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you get a human aspect to these superheroes, and I really love that. And there was a story where they even highlight a organization that deals with domestic violence. I thought that was
there was a little girl who needed help, and she ran to get help from, was it Lala?
Yes, Lala.
But and the thing about that story, honestly, I was like, oh damn girl, because she's like, she went up against the abusive father without her powers. And she was like, you think that I have this attitude because of my powers? No, I was beating down people before I had my powers.
Yes.
But yeah, at the end, or within that story, the mom who was experiencing the abuse, Marisol, La Borinqueña, tells her, there is an organization that can help you, and we will give you more information. And then at the bottom, I can't find the page, but at the bottom there was a little asterisk, and it had the website of that organization. So I think that
just to kind of piggyback on that, like I love the fact that they're giving us this story about superheroes, but they sprinkle real life organizations into it, and they give you the website information, and they give you all that. And I thought that was really, really amazing, because I mean, there could be some little girl or some little boy reading this, and they're like, oh, my mom is suffering from this as well. And then there's that little asterisk which tells you,
so here it is.
You can find help here.
It says, learn more and support the work of www.pazparalamujer.org. And so it had it right here in the so peace for the woman, but in Spanish.
Right. That's another thing I loved about this book. It's like yes, there are some words that I did not understand because I'm not Puerto Rican, but I love that aspect of it because I get kind of fully immersed in the culture, in the people, in the music.
Honestly, it made me want to be Puerto Rican.
I know. Oh my God. I was like, would it be wrong for me to try to fly the flag because of, I stand with you? Like I want to be, I want to be Puerto Rican now. But no, it was really cool. It was really freaking amazing. And I was like, when I was reading it, like I said, I was like, I was in Rio Piedras. I was right there. And by the way, guys, Puerto Rico is an amazing. La Isla de la Belleza. I forgot. La Isla de. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is such a beautiful, beautiful island. My God, I was only there for like, I don't know, 5 days, but it was just. I wish that I could have seen more, especially El Yunque, which is the forest. I didn't get a chance to be there, but man, it was just freaking amazing. I snorkeled. It was Puerto Rico has my heart. I always tell Frank, whenever you get some time off, let's go to Puerto Rico. It's just great.
Well, we should take some time and make it happen to actually make it to that convention. Yeah.
Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. I'm so for it. I'm here for that. And it's a heat, but it's not like a super heat like Nicaragua. It was just really just a beautiful. And man, the food, guys, just the food.
I mean,
alone.
you had me at food.
And they have craft beer, so we could check that out too. I'm sorry, I'm all thinking about Puerto Rico as a visiting island part. But do you guys want to add anything else to the actual story we read?
I think I'm ready to review it. I mean, to rate it.
To rate it. Oh, yeah. Anyway, you guys, also wanted to let you guys know that you could get this book and other La Borinqueña books at la-la-borinqueña with an N instead of an Ñ because America. .com. So la-borinqueña.com. And you can follow them on Instagram at La Borinqueña comics on Instagram. So definitely check that out. You will not be disappointed. But what is our rating scale, Kristen?
So we rate our books on a scale of 1 to 3 conchas, because 3 is the most conchas that Jen's mom ever let her eat in one sitting. So that was the best. And if the book is off of our rating scale, then we come up with our own personalized rating.
So, what is your rating, Kristen?
Well, I am going to give it the whole panaderia. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I looked at this, I was like, oh, so silly. What an attention grab here. Like, let's put a movie star in our book and try to sell it. But it really worked. I really enjoyed it. They had Rosario out here. And you know what made me laugh? How throughout the whole story, everyone called her Rosario Dawson, like to her face. Hi, Rosario Dawson. Hi, Rosario Dawson. And she had to finally say, it's just Rosario.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
But they had Rosario out there in the jungles doing flips and all kinds of stuff. And she doesn't have powers here at all, which is honestly just a nod to how impactful individuals can be when participating in activism and really trying to get shit done. So I give it the whole panaderia.
This is Sarah, and I also give it the whole panaderia, and I also give it 3 empanadas that I had at this bar that were freaking amazing. Right around the corner from where I was staying at my Airbnb, they had this one bar that had these empanadas that were like, oh my God. Just to let you guys know, they were so good that I bought 3 more right before my flight. And then my flight missed the connecting flight, and I was put in a hotel. And what saved me were those 3 empanadas. So these 3 empanadas mean the world to me. The world. So la whole panaderia and las 3 empanadas. What about you, Jen?
I'm giving it the entire panaderia as well. I thought it was really great. I thought it was well written. Love the characters, love the world building. The entire panaderia for me.
That has been our book review, guys. Check that out. Be sure to get your copy, follow on Instagram. And also, you could actually go on the website and actually donate towards the grants. I'm so sorry.
La Borinqueña grant program.
La Borinqueña grant program. All right, guys. Now it's time for En la Librería. Jen, what do you have for us today?
So today I have Dark Fairies, a queer art book. And illustrative anthology of art, comics, and short stories about fairies, transformation, and queer desire. So, this is being kickstarted by Annalise Jensen. Annalise is a strange creature that lives under a log and befriends all the frogs. She also plans to create many more projects about fantasy and queer subjects. So the synopsis that they have on here is... One moment, my browser decided to restart. Dark Fairies, an anthology of queer dark fairy stories and art, is a 200-plus page, fully colored art book and anthology comic. Short stories and illustrations about dark fairies and queer desire. From cannibal fae to sneaky shadow pixies, this book is a must-have for any fan of fairies. From the creators of Fae, a guide to Butch of the Fae variety, we have teamed up with even more artists and writers to bring you an even bigger book, with more Fae and fairy shenanigans. We have 40 artists and 12 writers, with 20 plus original illustrations, 10 original comics, and 12 short stories and poems with art alongside them. Our book is an A5 perfect bound book, 14.8 by 21 centimeters, which is approximately 5 by 8 inches, with a gloss paperback cover and gloss interior pages. These books will be carefully made locally in Australia and in the USA for ease of shipping. This book has adult themes like blood, gore, and nudity, and is suggested for readers 18 and over. By backing, you confirm you are of age to consent, the usual stuff. Then they give a preview of some of the art that's in there.
Okay, she had me at blood, gore, and nudity. And
cannibalistic fae.
So
love it.
But there is a lot more. They give descriptions of the comics that are going to be in there, as well as a little bit more preview of the artwork, which all looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it really does look amazing.
Yes. And you can always make a pledge without expecting a reward, but the base pledge does start at about 18 Aussie dollars, I guess, which is about 12 USD. And then after that, if you want all the Dark Fairy books, which is the one that they had mentioned before, Fae, as well as this one, it's going to be 30 Australian dollars, which is about 20 USD. And then if you want a physical copy of the book, it's going to be 45 Australian dollars, which is about 29 USD, which is honestly, for a 200 plus page book, pretty good. And then it keeps going on from there with, like, you can buy 2 physical copies of the, like, this book and the previous book. There's merch. There's prints and stuff like that. Check it out for yourself, but the base pledge does start at 12 USD for the digital PDF. Right now, they are halfway to their goal. Their goal is $29,473. And they currently have 15,567 with 234 backers and 27 days to go recording this. So, very ambitious book. They successfully kickstarted their previous book, Fae. So this all sounds really good and really promising. So definitely check it out. It is Dark Fairies, a queer art book on Kickstarter.
Awesome. That sounds really freaking cool. All right, guys, now it's time for Juntos y Fuertes. Kristen, what do you have for us today?
So today I have for you a very interesting play that is being put on at the Latino Theater Company in downtown Los Angeles. And it is a play that's running May 1st, so today, all the way through May 25th. And it's called The Delicate Tears of the Waning Moon. And that sounds very, like, mysterious, and it is based on a true story. It's a psychological drama set in 2019 somewhere in Latin America. It's somewhere in a country immersed in violence and corruption, a world where cruelty is habit, impunity is routine, liberty is utopian, and revealing the truth poses the greatest danger of all. The main actress is Rebecca Aliman, who is also the writer of this play, and she stars as Paulina, a human rights journalist and advocate for victims of femicide and indigenous communities. After surviving a vicious attack that left her in a coma, Paulina struggles to regain her memory. With fellow journalist Rodrigo at her side, she must painstakingly piece together the truth in order to demand justice. Based on true events, this powerful and poetically stirring drama addresses the relentless violation of human rights against journalists who strive to report the truth.
Oh my God.
This,
that already sounds so
I was going to say,
powerful.
this seems super heavy, super powerful, and I'd never heard of the Latino Theater Company before. Right here.
Neither had I.
Yeah, right here in Los Angeles. So it's downtown Los Angeles at 514 South Spring Street. And it is in collaboration with another cool theater called the Water People Theater in Chicago. And Water People Theater is a theater that strives to support the efforts to infuse equitable perspectives into the theater landscape, championing excellence and amplifying diverse voices. So Latino Theater Company has a little description, talks about how they really want to uplift marginalized and diverse community voices. And so I actually look forward to see what is coming up after this this play, The Delicate Tears of the Waning Moon. So I'm going to keep this theater on my radar, but also definitely something that is important to go out and support. All types of art is important to support.
Absolutely. Agreed. Especially in these times, we need all the art we can get.
Yes.
And to support it as well. All right, guys, now it's time for Saludos. And Saludos goes out today to Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez, a philanthropist, activist, writer, creator. He has written and created La Borinqueña, and how he continues to do a lot of work through his philanthropic work on all his activism. He is doing a lot of great work out here, especially in the climate that we are experiencing now as a nation. And writing and creating La Borinqueña and teaching us as the audience, as the reader, more about the history of Puerto Rico. And just, I'm just in awe. So please do give him a follow at, you could follow him and his work at La Borinqueña Comics, but also on Mr. Edgardo NYC. So MREDGARDO NYC. Such a wonderful human being, and just really like I'm in awe of all the work he puts out there and everything he's striving to do. And it just, saludos goes out to him. I'm just so happy to say that I know him. So saludos goes out to him. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Where can they find us, Kristen?
You can find us on our very own website, comadrescomics.com, where you can find links to all of our socials. And also, you can find us on YouTube, where you can not only listen, but also watch us as we drink beer, talk comics, and CHISME art the whole way through. And you can always email us at comadrescomics@gmail.com.
Excellent. All right, guys, that has been our episode. Thank you so much for listening and spending this time with us. We really appreciate it. We have been your hosts, Sarah.
And I'm Jen.
Bye.
Bye, guys.